Hi everyone, my name is Laura and welcome to Book Bubbler. This is going to be a Saturday reads video, apparently. Thursday, when I normally film, Thursday I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't. And I got home from work just now, hence my totally bitching polo shirt and my very sweaty face and hair up. If you can hear the fan, I apologize, but I'm so hot, I can't handle it anymore. It's not even that it's that hot outside necessarily, but the air quality is so terrible. It's so hard to breathe. I don't know if there's a gasoline ceiling again or whatever. Anyways, we're not here to talk about the terrible air. We're here to talk about books. So this week, pretty much I just finished reading books for the Booktube Prize. I was reading Fiction Group A I was Fiction Group A, and everything is in and posted. If I was more organized right now, I am very much not organized at the moment, but I would do a review of where I ranked everything. I'll do that over the weekend and post it next week sometime. If I get really ambitious, maybe Sunday, but don't hold your breath. So I mostly did that. The only book I did finish that was not part of Booktube Prize reading was Queer, A Graphic History. That was by, put this down, Meg-John Barker and Jules Scheele. So what I thought was going to be a book about queerness throughout history in a graphic novel format, you know, taking the long view, one linear story, you know, was not that at all. This book is really an illustrated introduction to queer theory. So if you're looking for that, this is a great book. I learned quite a bit, and I would like to get a copy for myself just to refer back to, not only for some bigger people in sexual theory, like making history in the 70s and 80s and 90s and stuff, and current authors too, but there's also a fairly decent list in the back of bibliography and extra works to refer to, and I'd like to be able to refer to that. So I just gave it a 3 because it's not what I thought it was going to be. It was still just fine, and it's not the book's fault that I think this is a very incorrect title, but it was fine. It's a lot of big words coming at you too, so I was not expecting all the big words, and big words are fine. But again, I was really confused for the first 50 pages of this book, like, what? Because each page is its own separate thing. Sometimes they go hand in hand, you know, sometimes they make sense following each other, but then sometimes they don't. So, kind of an odd one. Maybe 2.5 if I'm honest, but yeah. So, that's all that I read outside from Booktube Prize reading. So what's the point of this? I don't really do TBRs, and if I do them, I should say I don't really do general TBRs. I do them for readathons and challenges and things, but just for like just a regular month, I don't. I'm such a mood reader. I just read whatever I feel like, which is why I have so many that I'm still reading. But we're gonna skip right past that and go to books that I have on my radar for August. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I have 6 here. These are all library books. They are all due in the first 2 weeks. Don't laugh. I'm going to try and get through them. So first up is An Easy Death by Charlaine Harris. This is the first in her Gunny Rose series. The second one came out recently, and I'll be doing a buddy read with Ange from Ange with an E next month for the second book. Hey girl. So I will be reading this one this month to catch up with her. This is the large print edition, which my old eyes are kind of excited about. Makes it a lot longer, but that's okay. So I've got some supernaturally kind of a thing going on here. And then I really hope I can get to this. I'm kind of doubting myself right now. But this is The Age of Phillis by Honorée, Fanonne, Jeffers. Getting on a glare here. Okay, so I'm going to read you the inside cover because I don't know how else to wrap it up. So, let me see if I can get this right. Whoa, okay. In the shadow of the American Revolution, a young African-American woman named Phillis Wheatley published a book of poetry, poems on various subjects, religious and moral, in 1773. When Wheatley's book appeared, it would challenge Western prejudices about African and female intellectual capabilities. Her words would astound many and irritate others, but one thing was clear. This young woman was extraordinary. Sorry, is that better? Based upon 15 years of archival research, The Age of Phillis by award-winning poet and writer Honorée Fanonne Jeffers imagines the life and times of Wheatley, her childhood with her parents in the Gambia, West Africa, her life with her white American owners, her friendship with Obor Tanner, her marriage to the enigmatic John Peters, and her untimely death at the age of about 31. Woven throughout are poems about Wheatley's age, the era that encompassed political, philosophical, intellectual, and religious upheaval, as well as the transatlantic slave trade. For the first time in verse, Wheatley's relationship to Black people and their individual mercies is foregrounded, and here we see her not as simply a racial or literary symbol, but a human being who lived and loved while making her indelible mark on history. This sounds so interesting. I think I saw this in Book Pages a couple of months ago, and I just was like, beeline right to the catalog and request it from the library. So I really hope I can get to this. It sounds so interesting, and I haven't seen anyone else talk about this either, which is easy to do since I am a huge slacker here at Booktube, and I apologize for that. Next up is a much easier read. This is Fern Michael's Weekend Warriors. This is the start of the Sisterhood series. I've not read any of these, but my mom reads this series and hails these books in about an afternoon and has talked about them, raved about them for years. So I'll start. I'm finally starting, Mom. Next up, I finally got my first racial social justice book. It's a short checkout time too, so I really got to get cracking. It's White Rage, The Unspoken Truth of Our Racial Divide by Carol Anderson. This was published in 2016 or 2017, so it's not current, but I fear it's current enough that it won't matter. These few years won't really make much of a difference. Yeah, 2016. So, see how this one goes. Then, I can't redo this, and it's due on the 5th. So here's hoping I can get my button gear. It's Showtime at the Apollo, The Epic Tale of Harlem's Legendary Theater by Ted Fox, illustrated by James Otis Smith. I held this up previously. This was a recommendation from Shannon at That's So Paul. I'll link her below, and Angie and anyone else I mentioned, of course, too. But I saw this over at Shannon's channel and thought this sounds so interesting. And I got this, and it didn't know why it had a nonfiction label. Well, dummy me just realized that he wrote an actual non-illustrated book about the Apollo, and this is adapted, taken from that book. So they're next to each other on the shelf. Makes more sense, right? So if you look for this in the graphic novel section in your library, it might not be there. Check nonfiction. $7.92 at my library. So I need to get cracking on this thing. And then last up, I find out about this one from Cousin at Always Doing. Oh my gosh, I almost said That's So Po. I'm so screwed up today. Cousin at Always Doing, where I get a ton of good book recommendations. It's The Lady's Handbook for Her Mysterious Illness by Sarah Ramey. This is nonfiction. Sarah had an unknown illness of some kind for, I believe, years, and saw lots of specialists. So it's about getting a diagnosis for herself and about women's pain and doctors believing women's pain and how exhausting it is, what it's like to live with a chronic illness, especially when it's a mystery illness. It's a chunkster. Look at this thing. But I am super into this as someone who is extremely sensitive and has a lot of invisible illnesses myself. I think I'm going to relate hardcore to this book, and I cannot wait to start it. I'm so glad that I finally have a little bit of leeway room without that self-induced pressure for the Booktube Prize. So that's what I have coming up on deck shortly. Oh, also, I need to read hopefully all of, if not as much as possible, of the series of unfortunate events. I just read the first 2, which means I have 11 books to go. Hopefully I can really get those out and going here, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I think I can renew them all one more time, so we'll see if I have to do that or not. And yeah, that's it. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope that you've been taking care and staying healthy, staying sane. which maybe is debatable for some of you, it's debatable for me, but I hope that you've been doing well. Let's see, for a song this week that has been stuck in my head. There have been a lot bopping around. No Taylor Swift. I like her, don't get me wrong, I like her, don't come for me. I just am not like super into her. Let's see. Let's do Fire by the Pointer Sisters. That one has been in my head this week. It's such a good song. And didn't one of the sisters recently pass away this week or last? I don't know, but I've had that song in my head this week. So let's do Fire by the Pointer Sisters. Yeah. Okay. I will see you guys very shortly, hopefully. Again, I hope you're doing well and taking care, reading something fabulous, and I will catch up with you guys very soon in the next one. Bye.